Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Firaxis livestream. I'm Pete Murray, your host, joined today by Ed Beach, lead designer of Civilization VI Gathering Storm, and gameplay designer Anton Strenger. We're very happy to be here today talking about Eleanor of Aquitaine, but I do want to let you know that we have a couple of other things for you. Just a week from today, on February 14th, we'll be releasing Gathering Storm, which is very, very exciting. And for those of you who are pinching your pennies and saving the moments until the game comes out, I wanted to let you know that there actually will be a sale on it. Both XCOM and Civ Firaxis Games are on sale this week. And from February 11th to February 14th, Civ 6 will be free to play on Steam. So if you haven't played it up to this point, you have no excuse. It will cost you nothing to play over the weekend, except your time and one more turn. And then hopefully you'll be interested and want to pick up that and Gathering Storm. But we are here today to talk about Eleanor of Aquitaine, one of our new leaders and a unique leader in that she can actually lead 2 civilizations.
Yeah, that was the hook that made it just a done deal that we were going to eventually get around to putting Eleanor of Aquitaine in. We had the multiple leader system. I don't think she necessarily would have been, our first choice as an English leader if there was only going to be one English leader, or our first choice of a French leader if there's only going to be one.
Right.
But knowing that we could have multiple leaders and she could actually fill 2 slots and do that for, as double duty for both nations, it just seemed a very cool way to go.
It is a fun sort of like design opportunity too, because we got to design her effect to be modular. It's like, well, she can kind of lean one way as England and lean another way as France, which was really interesting from sort of like a gameplay perspective.
And for people who are maybe not as familiar with her history, the Angevin Empire was basically the rulers of France and England during the Middle Ages, basically.
They certainly had like the wealthiest land holdings in duchy, and it was so contentious, which way they were going to go, because it was a huge power shift between England and France, depending upon, where they were throwing in their support. So, that's why she was one of the most influential figures in her time period. I'm always a little confused by the history of that time period because the duchies are switching back and forth so much.
I think anybody who's capable of following Game of Thrones can probably follow, late medieval dynastic politics.
It's definitely tricky, though.
Yeah.
But that was sort of the inspiration for why a civilization world with Eleanor in it, you might have those allegiances shifting very quickly, and that was sort of our inspiration for her leader unique ability.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we've got one save today, and our save, as usual, is driven by Carl, Marshal Justicar of 2 Kingdoms. We're going to show off her very interesting ability to manipulate the loyalty of other cities. So let's go ahead and we're going to jump right into the game.
And this is a save that, like we've been doing recently, I've started it. I kind of played the background part of it just to kind of get familiar with the terrain and what the basic situation was. And then Carl progressed from a point where I handed it off to him and kind of set it up for the live stream. But I do love this amazing start location that I had. It was so well protected by this enormous tapestry of mountains to the south of my capital.
Shropshire Hills.
Right. So the Shropshire Hills are a little bit bigger than in real life here. They're dominating the landscape. They are actually formed by the collision of 2 tectonic plates. So if we look at our continent lens, we can see that our continent, the northern one, the Vendian continent, was slammed into by the Zealandia continent that came up in prehistoric times from the south, formed the giant Shropshire Hills mountain chain, and also depressed a number of indentations down into the land, so that we have this amazing series of lakes that we've actually, as our sort of English, inclinations lead us to go ahead and industrialize everything, we've gone ahead and hooked it up with a bunch of canals.
And Carl will be hooking up some railroads today as well, too, which will be an integral part of his strategy for this. But this is a pretty impressive collection of canals and
yeah, we might even pop on the Empire lens real quickly and just show some of the adjacency bonuses that have been possible because of the way we've packed in some districts and utilized those mountain.
Yeah, the mountain's been really helpful for us here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2 campuses on the Holy Site are getting massive bonuses.
And I like how we have the great library back at our city of Bradford. That's our main naval base. That is my favorite naval base I've ever built in a civilization game, because it's so well protected from the ocean by by the canals and the lakes. There are actually 2 routes out to the sea from it. So it's got both the mausoleum and the Great Lighthouse there. So it sort of just screams naval power at you.
Oh, yeah.
So just had a great time putting this together here. So I think what we want to talk about is, we want to demonstrate the power of the Court of Love.
Correct. Yes.
So we need a target where we can flip their cities to our control, because we're just going to overwhelm them with how wonderful and glorious our culture and civilized palaces and courts and everything are.
And this is a great setup for it, too. So you want to talk a little bit about what it is we're seeing here.
Okay, so there are 2 bordering civs. One is Phoenicia. And Phoenicia to our south, the city of Byblos is already sort of encircled by 3 of our cities. So it would normally flip right away to our pressure.
Yeah.
Except, as we talked about last week, Phoenicia has the unique ability to keep 100% loyalty to all coastal cities on their home continent.
Right.
And Dido has been very good about settling all her cities directly on the coast, not a tile or 2 inland.
Yeah.
So, the way the AI has set this up, we actually can't crack her loyalty defenses at all.
Yeah. Her original capital of Tyre is inland there, but it's a capital, so it's very strong in loyalty, and she hasn't moved it wisely. So all her cities are safe there.
Yeah, so I think the best thing we can say is we've pinned her capital. She cannot move it anywhere else, because if she does, her empire's just going to crumble to us.
Right.
Right.
But we can't really make any headway against her.
But the Ottomans.
Correct. So that's where our target is. So if we look at this Ottoman city of Erzurum, which is right on the border, that's our kind of an initial target. Mm-hmm. We've got spies there who are neutralizing governors. We have spies there fomenting unrest. Yeah. And we actually sort of sandwiched in the city of Plymouth to the southeast, just to kind of exert more pressure. And then even after that, I think that was the final city I built. And then Carl put in Portsmouth due north. And I think that's also close enough to exert pressure.
We checked last night, and I think it's within 10 tiles. So it's going to be definitely exerting some pressure on the...
And the cool thing that we were able to do, and this is sort of why England's ability helps out, is when we put these cities down, we wanted them to grow very, very fast.
Yes.
Because we wanted to get the loyalty pressure up and going as quickly as we could. So we had military engineers waiting, and as soon as those cities went down, especially I believe Bristol is along a floodplain, we could put a dam district in, and have the military engineers go and rush those in.
Yep.
And so that's, 3 more housing online sort of instantaneously that way. We actually bought some of the districts with Reina's contractor ability.
Yes.
So
to get those theater squares up fast,
We wanted to get the theater squares right out on the border as quickly as we could. And then we had great works sort of back in the rest of our empire waiting to flood in to
get to the front.
Right there,
right.
So, yeah.
So there are some places where we haven't filled in all our great work slots, but those are kind of back away from the border. We're pushing our great works out towards the border, so the Ottomans just cannot refuse to hear about the greatness of our culture.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to let Carl go ahead and proceed forward here. He's got some more great people to finish producing works with.
He's got some wonders on the way that'll help as well. And he's got archaeologists behind the Ottoman Empire, and looks like open borders as well. So that'll give us some great works too.
Well, he's got an alliance going with the Ottoman.
Yeah, actually, so we do have a lot of alliances going on, and wisely, Carl has not really done the cultural alliance against someone that we can use the Court of Love on. So the Ottomans, I think it was a military alliance that we had.
Yes.
Yeah, so if we had a cultural alliance, part of the benefits of a cultural alliance is you don't exert pressure on each other, which includes this Court of Love bonus. So, but by having a military alliance, we can slowly win over his cities, if we have enough great works, and he'll, still not be mad at us for it.
And now we've got a World Congress session, and Carl's going to do some very clever things here, too, with...
This I'm not sure how we got so lucky to get this particular World Congress.
This is where it breaks totally in our favor.
Eleanor helpful.
It's like Eleanor set the agenda for this World Congress herself. So the first item up here is the migration treaty.
Yeah.
So it's basically there is some kind of migration crisis in the world, and the world has to decide how to deal with that. So we're all going to
vote for
one way or another on this, and so. we actually are dominant in terms of favor. We've had all those alliances.
I think Carl has most of the city-states on his side in the world.
Right.
As well.
We were fortunate that north of the Shropshire Hills was where most on that continent, that Vendian continent, that's where a lot of the city-states showed up.
Okay.
So we were able to become suzerain for quite a few of them.
Right.
So yes, we're dominating the diplomatic game. This is on king difficulty, so that's part of why this is all breaking so favorably for us. And so what we want to do here is we want to go ahead and tell the Ottoman Empire they can accept as many of these refugees as they want, and we're going to try to push that on the world community, but we know that might, induce some loyalty problems there.
So what we're going to do, what is basically check to see how much favor we have versus the combined favor of the other civilizations in the game. And by checking that little head underneath it with the 1, we know that Dido is going to vote for that option as well too.
Right. She, I imagine this is probably because she's not worried about loyalty problems.
Yeah, for all those coastal cities that she has, -5 loyalty, who cares?
Right.
They're locked at full.
She's
she might as
always
well go
willing
for growth.
to go push on the growth side.
Yeah.
Especially she might have a lot of small cities that she just founded. That's another reason that growth makes sense for her. So that's locked in for her leader, that's just the side that she's always going to favor there. And so the UI is helping you with that and telling you that you can expect that particular vote outcome. And so that's good for us because we're worried about too many votes stacking up on the B side here,
right,
and canceling us out. But if we know the Dido is not going to vote with us, then if you look at the favor, that's over 1,000 of the favor out there in the world that we know is going to be voting on the A side.
So we're pretty good on that.
And we're probably of the A votes, we'll probably be the heavyweight since we're doing 10 votes
and we're
for
leading,
the Ottomans.
Yeah, right.
For the other ones, we've got the Urban Development Treaty, which this is one of these, we've seen this on previous streams. This is a great option to come up as well, too. And for us, we want to make the theater squares buildings cheaper for us. So we can lean into that one a little bit.
Yeah.
That's not as critical as trying to get the pressure on the Ottomans, but it'd be great.
It'd be great for like an eventual cultural victory as well. I think, we have most of our museums up, but not broadcast centers yet. So that would help with this as well.
And then the last one is because we have Sweden in the game, we have the Nobel Prize in Literature. And because this one, we're gaining score simply by generating great artist points and great writer points.
We're so well set up.
We're so
got lots of those.
Yeah, with the number of
the troubadours are playing all over Eleanor's course.
Yeah, we're going to be fine on this.
So, I think usually, in order to get into the scored competitions, you have to vote for them.
Yes.
And so, in general, the AI is pretty good about most AIs participate in these and vote for them. It's unusual to see an AI. Occasionally, an AI will go and say, "No, I really don't want this right now," and stack up a lot of votes on the negative side. But in general, we can probably expect this to pass, so we don't need to put a ton of favor into trying to get that through.
Okay. All right, so we will submit our votes and we will hold our breath and see what the rest of the world votes on for this. And in the meantime, we'll get the Bolshoi Ballet.
Because that's another great
more great works for us.
Cap.
Yes.
Yes, more great works, more places to put them.
And I think that's in one of the border cities as well. So it's well placed. There are a couple questions in the chat about how the Court of Love sort of mechanic details work. So the 9-tile range is counted from the city center, not from where the great work is.
Okay.
Because otherwise it'd be kind of really complicated to keep track of like, wait, this great work's here and this one's here. They can flip city-states. City-states have some, like a lot of inherent loyalty strength to them.
Yep.
But if you get enough Court of Love, they can flip city-states. What was the other one?
We neutralized the governor.
We had a bunch of things happen, which is really good. Sorry, I'm gonna
go for it. Yeah.
Stop you there. So we were able to pass our World Congress migration treaty, and it is affecting the Ottomans.
Suleiman.
So they are going to be suffering from loyalty problems. We were able to get our theater square buildings for cheaper, and the Nobel Prize in Literature has passed. A couple of other things popped up on this turn 2, which are going to help us out significantly. We were able to neutralize the governor in one of the cities. So Konya has lost its governor. It's going to be not able to take advantage of the loyalty.
And in general, though, I do have to admit that the AI was doing a very fine game of moving their governors around as best they could.
Right.
We just kept kicking them out.
Given how much we were kicking them out, I was actually hoping that it could have been an error earlier when I was playing the save, that I could have actually started flipping Ottoman cities, and it just took a little longer to set up. We didn't have enough great works earlier. We didn't have enough spies out there.
Yeah.
So we've certainly made a huge investment in trying to get this Ottoman Empire to crumble.
It is a fairly production intensive effort.
It's fun though, which I just
Another thing to watch when you're going for this strategy as well is like what age you're in versus what age your target is in.
Right.
So we're in a golden age right now. I think the Ottomans are in a heroic age.
Yes.
So that makes it difficult for us because we're getting loyalty bonuses for all of our citizens pressuring outwards, but so are they. So it sort of cancels out.
Right.
But yeah, so that'll make it more difficult. But if they were in a dark age, then that'd be
and they were in a dark age in the Renaissance. That's why I thought I was going to be able to get them, and I got one of their cities down to like 5 or 10 points of loyalty. I just couldn't quite flip them.
Yeah.
And then it rolled over to the heroic age for them, and all of a sudden I had to back off for a bit.
Yeah. Now we're going to send Jane Austen to reduce the loyalty of the Ottomans. Frankly, I always feel a little less loyal after I read Pride and Prejudice as well. So this is good. So we've got some changes to the Tier 3 government systems. This is a good opportunity to talk about this,
I do want to talk about this. Before we get too far into this, there's one other point I want to make. We brought up that Sweden was in this game.
Yes.
And Sweden has quite a large empire. They are very competitive with us. If we look at the mini-map, we can see that there is a huge Swedish empire. And just kind of the backstory of this game was, if you look at these Swedish city names, some of them do not sound very Swedish.
I've never heard of a Swedish city called Kumboisale.
Right. So there was a Mali Empire here. And the Mali Empire was entirely swallowed up by Sweden in this game on king difficulty by the somewhere in the middle of the medieval era.
Yeah.
So I was super impressed with how belligerent and effective Christina was early in this game at just swallowing Mali up. So Mali is definitely one of those civs. Everyone's got them on their radar screen as might be the most powerful civ in Gathering Storm, and I certainly have seen games where the Mali have been incredibly impressive. But I think they do have a little bit of an early game weakness, and Christina exploited the heck out of that here.
Clearly took them.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
with the power of diplomacy and guns.
so anyways, okay, let's go back and let's also focus on what Carl was showing us, was that we have just finished the ideology civic.
Yeah.
And so a lot of changes went into the Tier 3 governments. That's the democracy, the communism, and the fascism governments,
Correct.
the ones that come in online in the modern era. And so we rearranged all the policies here. It used to be that ideology was very light in terms of the content of that particular civic.
It was very cheap civic as well.
Yeah, it was just sort of a gateway civic to get you into any of the governments. But we noticed that there were a lot of policies here that were replacements for earlier game policies. And we still wanted those to work as sort of souped up, better versions of the early game policies. But we wanted that to be something that you could get to regardless of which government you adopted. So we moved all those to ideology. We made ideology more expensive. And then we dropped the price a little bit of each of the individual government civics, the suffrage, the totalitarianism, and class struggle. But we put special policies on those civics that are unique and exclusive to those governments. So their finest hour, it used to be it just allowed you to build aircraft faster. Now it gives you a defensive bonus everywhere in your home territory. New Deal, we struck out the -8 gold.
Now it's just
now it's just all positives. So basically all the policies that were there, we enhanced them significantly. Some of them we turned into wild cards because we wanted them to be so special and so unique that you had to
make some real choices about,
And then the democracy government base bonus, the base effect there, that was rearranged with the old Arsenal democracy policy effect. So that bonus where you can just massively, kind of prop up your allies with food and production is still there, but you have to be in the democracy government to have that. You can't,
Can't get
snag that policy while you're doing something else. So we really wanted to increase the feel of being in these governments, making them feel very different and unique.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting tool to be able to set up policies that are unique to governments. I can see modders, going through each of the governments and coming up with very unique policies that are very appropriate for those using this kind of technique.
A couple other tweaks too, like the legacy effects that we added when Rise and Fall. We changed a bit how those work.
Yeah, you want to go through that?
Sure. So it used to be that once you build your government plaza building in your government, you'd get the legacy policy card, which is also a wild card slot. It's very powerful. And you could double up on an effect. So you could have the democratic legacy while you're in democracy. But even though that was really powerful, we felt like it didn't really make sense. And sometimes, like especially, there's an early one with oligarchy. You could double stack the oligarchy combat bonus in a multiplayer that was very strong.
Yeah.
So what we did was we made a new rule where you can't use a legacy policy card for a government while you're in that same government. So you can have your oligarchic legacy card, that's great, but you have to upgrade to another government in order to use that.
Right.
So there's a little bit of a debuff, but the plus side is once you get to those tier 4 governments that are new, the future era, which we went into a little bit last week, in previous streams, you have 5 wildcard slots at your disposal. So you have a lot of flexibility and you can slot all 3 of your legacy cards pretty easily.
Right, and you can actually, I mean, that's cool. I like that because it feels right. Because if, there were 3 primary governments that you used earlier in the game,
Yeah.
sort of your final end game government is built on those foundations.
On that foundation, yeah,
so
exactly.
it just makes sense.
So people are coming to us asking for various works of art, and Carl is very kindly telling them to get bent. We're also seeing the first
you got to come see him for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. We're seeing the first stirrings of
Ottoman unrest.
Ottoman unrest.
Yeah.
And we're getting the Ruhr Valley, which is fantastic. So more production is never a bad thing.
I always love seeing that. In this case, the English crown instead of that Free City fist. It's gonna directly flip to us as
right
soon
to
as we
us.
get it.
Right to us.
Yeah.
And we have successfully fomented unrest.
And neutralized the government.
People are rabbling.
Yes.
Rabble. And then what's nice is Carl's going to be able to use his military engineers to complete both a railroad and a mountain tunnel, which will allow us to get those great artists down to the front lines of our empire faster, and actually in doing their great works a turn ahead than we...
Just take the train down.
Just take the train
Jane Austen
down.
can take the train down. And
Rush the artwork
Rush
to the
Sense and
front.
Sensibility and go from there.
Yeah.
So with the Court of Love ability, we did a lot of kind of iterations in Rise and Fall of the loyalty system, and there were a lot of sort of interesting directions that we came up with during development. It went through many iterations. I want to say probably at least half a dozen, and the math changed a whole bunch of times right up till the very end. But there were a lot of like opportunities that were left open that were like, well, this would be really cool, but we think it might be too powerful for everybody to have it. So when we were coming up with something that we wanted Eleanor to do, like we thought it'd be really cool to have a loyalty-based mechanic that was specific to a leader that they really leaned into. So, both the direct flipping, that's sort of a remnant of an older prototype during Rise and Fall. Like It used to be, in the rules now, it always has to become a free city first, and then it can flip to somebody else. In an older iteration of the loyalty system, it would flip to potentially anybody right away. It just whoever had the most kind of like share of loyalty pressure. But we changed it to free cities because that allowed more of a competition and it was a little more fun. But having Eleanor break that rule is really cool. And also having her great works sort of act more like the governor bonuses, where it doesn't have to go through the citizen pressure. It actually did in an earlier balance, but it wasn't strong enough. It just sort of like breaks the rules in that way and allows for these really powerful effects to act.
Right, just like the Amani governor does, and we're actually using Amani. She's in one of the Ottoman cities right now, putting pressure on all of the...
I think there's a scientific city-state, kind of like on the other side.
We actually should show the loyalty
empire.
lens here, just so people can get an idea of what the breakdown on... So you can see those negative...
It's starting to crack.
Yeah, on the right-hand side, that's just all the great works pressuring each of those cities, turn after turn after turn. Even their capital is only at +5 loyalty right now.
Which for a capital is really bad.
So,
and, Suleiman keeps sending in governors, but we keep kicking them out. So we got with the spies and Amani and the great works.
Sadly, the Ottoman Empire was sort of known for its collapse, and much later than this historically.
Yeah, but
and it wasn't engineered in quite this way.
No, and it certainly wasn't done through. You like our stuff better. You like our artwork better, right?
Right. So I love your point about all the different iterations that we went through on the loyalty system, and we've had a couple interesting questions recently about why Phoenicia and then Eleanor weren't rise and fall civs, because they are very based around the loyalty mechanics.
Right.
But I think what we find as developers is it's once we've had a real long time to play with a system and really understand it and really see where, okay, I know this lever right now is the one that if I just flip this one, all of a sudden it's going to turn in a vastly different direction.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just takes time to kind of understand your own systems at that deep a level.
Yeah.
And so the more familiar you are with them, the better you're going to understand this is the right lever for us to flip. And so it often happens that we introduce a mechanic in one base game or expansion, and it's sort of the next time around that we really know how to manipulate it well.
So the Ottoman are suffering even more
no.
trouble.
I'm
had
starting
a
to feel
flood.
bad for these guys.
They lost population in one of their cities. The city is damaged.
Oh, right. Yeah, I saw it.
I know Suleiman even came up and told us he really
How much he
respects
respects our culture.
yes,
and
our culture and how well we're
vibrant
treating
empire.
our citizens. So
Yeah.
Oh,
and
if
now we've
only
built-
you knew.
Yeah, and now we've got Broadway right there, and the lights of Broadway are all lit up, and they're just going to be,
We're starting to generate
man.
power now. That's another historic moment. So keeping in the golden age is also important for us. That'll help keep our citizen pressure high.
yeah, and that was something I was definitely focused on playing this game throughout. Was every era I felt like I had to hit a golden age the next time through. So it was certainly helpful to be playing on King. It's a little bit easier in that particular case, but you do feel like you want to make sure that every era comes along. You don't know which civs are going to be in a dark age next to you, and so if you're not prepared and don't have that golden age stacked up ready to go, you might feel like you're missing an opportunity with her.
Right.
So I kept feeling a lot of pressure to try to maintain golden ages each time if I could.
So we're continuing to rake in lots of great artists, and building things for like Broadway for them to put their great works into. So things are going fairly well so far, even though Ottomans are in that heroic age.
This is pretty impressive. I mean, that's a. I will just be able to. I don't remember. Was there a theater district in those two Ottoman cities that were kind of pressuring? I think there
was. I think there is one.
That's sort of
Yeah.
advanced
Yeah.
Eleanor play is flip a city
Yeah, and immediately move your
and
great
make
work.
sure that you can immediately fill it with great works. Maybe if it doesn't have that broadcast center that it needs so that they can be hearing Beethoven like the rest of us, you immediately buy that building in.
Yeah.
Just so you can keep things rolling once you start getting some of these flips going.
When I was playing this save a little earlier, I was actually cheeky with one of my spies, and I had the one in Konya steal a great work, which was just like
Adding
oops.
insult to injury.
Yeah,
right?
a little bit, and they
that's a good way
escaped
to-
unscathed. So yeah, it just helped the loyalty even further.
That's a good way to get
And now-
grievances. Now they're only 19 turns
19
away.
turns away. So we have 3 cities on the ropes.
Yeah. That's a really good way to generate grievance with people, is to kind of display a great work that they used to own. It's like,
It's now on permanent
was this
exhibition
yours?
over here.
Yeah, but it looks.
It looks like we've easily automatically earned another golden age for the next era too.
Yep.
So we don't have to worry.
We're past the threshold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm worried about, okay, am I going to get all those Ottoman cities to flip before the era rolls over?
Right.
But in this case, we're not going to have to worry about that.
More unrest.
Yeah.
More unrest. People keep saying things like, where it's really nice? Over in the English Empire.
And we're doing this with 3 spies, 4 spies? How many spies are we at?
3?
Just
Got
3.
3. Yeah.
Questions come up a
Two
couple of
master
times.
spies.
Relics count as great works?
They do.
They do. That
Artifacts
was
count as great works?
That's the one I saw earlier. Yes, they both count as great works. So anything that goes in a slot. So, for culture victory and stuff, it's nice to get those theming bonuses. But if we're focusing on the court of love, it's quantity over quality.
Yep. Pack the walls.
Yeah, I was actually, when I was first dropping in those theater squares and buying them with Reina, I had just recruited Michelangelo.
Oh, nice.
And so I had him back in London waiting to transfer into the new city as soon as it was settled.
Yeah.
Bam, slammed the district down and bought it with gold. and then he was just immediately filling up the museum with one work after another. They're all themed entirely wrong.
Yeah.
But it
didn't
doesn't
really
matter. They're there to exert pressure. Oh, no.
Oh, he found our spies.
So
Too bad.
we've just generated grievance by not removing our spy.
And that's an issue. It's actually important that we do not try to fake him out and say, yeah, we'll be good. We won't. Because the way the new grievance system works is if you make a promise, it keeps track of every time you break it.
Right.
So if you repeatedly break it, you'll just be stacking up grievance after grievance after grievance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually better to be honest now and make sure that, if it's just this kind of situation where, maybe you're Phoenicia and you're just never going to promise not to settle near somebody because that's just sort of how you play your game.
Right.
You should just be honest about it and tell people that.
Nope. You're going to get forward settled. Just accept this.
Yes, live with it. That's sort of how I am.
Yeah. Especially if it's earlier in the game, the grievances will decay, and as long as other things don't happen, you'll probably be all right.
Oh, we neutralized their governor. But we have to run. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Run away.
Yeah.
All right, another
Oh,
one.
one
Turn
more
away.
turn. One more turn. Oh, and actually, I just noticed there's a line of Swedish apostles coming through to.
Konya's within 2 or 3 turns, I think, as well.
Are they? 15.
15. But
Well,
once
once-
the first domino falls,
Yeah, it starts.
things will get better for us. She wants our books. Big surprise.
She's a little jealous of how nice our empire is in terms of the great works.
I think a
Yep.
little bit. All right. So it looks like that city did flip to us.
Yes, it did. Now we've got the ability to create rock bands as well, too.
And that's really advanced Eleanor play.
But
Is
really excellent, Eleanor.
really excellent Eleanor play is to make Eleanor the first hipster appreciating indie rock music,
Yeah.
because as many indie bands as she can get
Yeah.
with their ability to reduce loyalty pressure,
With
it's
that promotion.
it's with that promotion it's stronger than neutral with fomenting unrest with a spy.
Yeah, because indie rock, I think, is 50.
Right.
Fomenting unrest is more like 30.
Yeah, so a lot of those, like especially late game units like the rock bands, we sort of amped up their effects so they have dramatic game
Amped up.
changing.
Huh.
Amps them up. Yeah.
All right, and now Erzurum, because we took it through a loyalty flip, it's all of its stuff comes over to us. We
It's
don't get a
pristine,
pillaged,
yeah.
slightly burnt out husk.
All the population's safe. None
A
of them
fixer
got...
upper, if you will. We get a fully functional, fully ready to go city, which is pretty exciting.
Although it's unpowered, so we gotta deal with that. I
Build
think.
some Jews for it. What you gonna build, Carl? A bank? Can't display things in a bank.
What are you, de Medici? Come on.
So it's still good. We can still, yeah. Oh no! Oh, I see.
Took the
Carl.
quick way out of that city and got caught.
We got caught. He accidentally fell down on a bullet a couple of times before he accidentally died. So we'll have
Make
to
more
rebuild a
spies.
spy.
Yeah.
So.
So I know, how are we powering our cities? We have hydroelectric dams in a couple of them.
Yeah.
We'll have to bring up
and
the
the coal
power.
plant there.
Yeah,
The very dirty coal plant, yes.
yeah. We'll bring up the power.
Well, it's sort of right next to Roar Valley, so it's kind of, that's the industrial heartland there.
It is.
Yeah, we'll just
Very industrial revolution London right now.
we'll vote.
Yeah.
We'll vote the climate accords down later. Oh, we just got another city.
Hey.
So there goes Konya. Can you use multiple indie rock bands to flip a city that had full positive loyalty?
If you do like 2 in 1 turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to get multiple ones with that same
I was going to
promotion,
say, I don't think I've ever had more than one.
just
indie
because
band
there
that's
are 10 to 12 promotions, I think.
If you do spec into that late game policy, then you'll be able to choose from any of them. you
Right.
want.
So at
you
the
could start-
very end of the civics tree,
Right.
there unlocks a way to kind of do that.
Right.
But it's very, very late game. So it's fun, but getting one city that late in the game is, we looked at that and we decided, well, it's fun that you can do that, but it's probably not game changing. So we went ahead and left that ability like
Yeah,
that.
you're probably making a run for victory, so it's less of a big deal.
And Istanbul is starting to
Are we going to flip his capital in this?
We might be able to.
Wow.
We might be able to. So Carl is checking his great works to make sure that he can bring things even closer.
Yeah.
Oh, Istanbul is
But
looking
the
very surrounded.
pressure on Istanbul is pretty substantial.
And just to remind some folks how some of the loyalty math works. So the citizens nearby, like the pressure, it sort of falls off over time. Capitals have a much stronger pressure, so Istanbul is normally really hard to take. One of the really nice things about Eleanor's ability is like it's within 9 tiles, but it doesn't fall off at all. As long as it's in range, you're good. You're gonna start chipping away the loyalty of those other cities.
So what do you think? Is Eleanor England or Eleanor France the better way to go if you really just want to play this loyalty game?
For the loyalty game, well, actually, I'll bring up a point that Carl had made earlier, which I think is really interesting. Like, I think Eleanor France, because if you get the bonuses towards wonders and stuff like that,
you've got
it'd be
Hermitage, Bolshoi Theater. And
Adana's
like
about to flip too.
Adana's about to flip too. So having a lot more slots from the wonders that you're building is really powerful. But if you're playing with other players like Chin or on higher difficulties where wonders are really hard to get, then that's going to be less reliable. But I like kind of playing France for the loyalty game.
I was impressed with England though here. I thought just being able to have a highly connected empire with railroads and canals,
military engineers
and military engineers with as many charges as they needed to put things in quickly.
Yeah.
There were a lot of advantages to having that Workshop of the World abilities backing up what Eleanor was doing. So I think you're right that normally I've played an Eleanor Cultural Victory as France as well, a few weeks back. But I do think on these higher difficulty, this isn't a higher difficulty game, but if I was trying to succeed with Eleanor in a high difficulty game, England might be the way to go.
Another thing that's nice about England with the loyalty game is like with the Royal Navy Dockyard, you're wanting to, kind of like Phoenicia, settle on a bunch of different continents. So depending on where you end up in the end of the game, once things are mostly settled, you can kind of like, sneak in your Court of Love ability at vulnerable places because you're much more spread around the map.
Right. That's what's great about England is typically they have that global presence.
Right.
And so they can kind of, every era there are one or two places where the cracks are showing in the loyalty of one
there's
empire
someone
or
out on
another.
a peninsula somewhere.
Yeah, and you can actually
like
get
that.
out there and apply your...
So we've just got Adana as well too. So we've entered the modern age. We're in a golden age. This is fantastic. Carl was... Ooh, yeah, that's a really good one.
The tourism one, yeah.
Yeah.
What do the Ottomans get? I didn't see. Are they still in a golden age?
They got new rulers.
They're in a dark age.
They're in a dark
Oh.
That's very,
Yeah.
very dark.
Yeah.
It's interesting, look, Phoenicia's in a dark age too. If they had not had that, their
They'd be in
inherent
such
loyalty
trouble.
problem, they would
Yeah.
be in real dire straits.
And a military emergency declared against Christina for being warmongering is interesting.
Definitely not what you typically see from her. But this
No.
game, she's been quite aggressive.
No.
She
that's
got on a
crazy.
roll though, and and we're going to win the Nobel Prize in Literature for
We're
sure,
rocking it, yeah.
Yeah.
which is going to supercharge our rock bands.
Yeah.
Yes.
We wanted to come up with something in the game that buffed rock bands, and Nobel Prize in Literature is maybe not the most obvious tie-in, but then Bob Dylan went ahead and won the Nobel Prize, and we were like, yes, thank you.
Post hoc justifications for the win. So we're going to start making our rock band.
So
That's
yes,
awesome.
it's my favorite thing Bob Dylan's ever done for me. probably.
That's a very specific favorite thing that Bob Dylan's ever done.
Exactly.
A lot of people would be like, I like his music. That's
Yeah.
like, no, I like the fact that he made my gameplay mechanics justified.
Exactly.
Okay. So,
We see the pink lovely crown under Istanbul now, so
Yeah.
looks like it'll probably flip, especially with the Dark Age. 6 turns,
ooh,
even with the governor in there.
yeah. Well, we'll have to see if we can get, ooh. Matthias is unhappy with us. Well, guess what? He's just jealous.
Well, yeah, we're pursuing
He's
power.
just
We need to
jealous.
power our cities. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's his standard announcement.
Yeah. And the Nobel Prizes are specifically a result of Sweden being in the game. If Sweden is not one of the other powers in the game, then you will not be able to pursue those as competitions. That is one of their abilities, is that they bring that to the World Congress. So that
We've got a rock band.
Underground production.
Underground production.
It's what Dennis does on the weekends.
Yes, he does.
Okay, so
We have
The rivals.
the rivals.
there's an
Randomize it.
indie.
Randomize it.
Yes.
Hungry Band. Yes.
Hungry indie band.
Hungry
Yes,
indie
that
band.
Totally makes sense.
Oh, totally. All right.
Okay, send
We'll
them
destroy
to
loyalty for
Istanbul.
I love it.
green continents.
Reggae rock doesn't look like it's
Gonna make it Carltonence.
Yeah.
Oh,
See
look
what
at
he was
that.
doing there.
The words of Carl are spreading.
A couple canal questions that have come up. If you pillage a canal, what happens?
Initially, we didn't allow you to pillage canals. I believe we made a rule change so that you can pillage canals now, and it just disables the naval movement through.
Right. So there are these flags that are set on the tile in the code that's like,
Yeah.
hey, like, you know, even though this is a water tile, or
boat
even though it's a land tile, you can move on water. But if you pillage it, reverses those until you repair it.
And the Golden Gate Bridge has the reverse set of
Right.
flags on its tile because normally it's a water tile,
But now you can drive your
but
cars
you
on
can
it.
turn on the land usage
Right.
flag for that tile
Gotcha.
by building the Golden Gate Bridge wonder.
And if you pillage a city, the canals go away because they count as districts, correct?
No, they are not unique districts or anything like that.
So
they
even if I wreck the
districts
city,
stick around.
the canal will stay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stick around, yeah.
There you go. Oh, you're going to insult us and then ask for our books, huh? Doesn't work that way.
Ottomans want some of our great works, but
Don't
no,
think
we
so.
need those for something else.
Yeah.
Sorry,
My
Suleiman.
people are really into them. Can I borrow them? No. No.
Okay, this
Oh, this affects
volcano.
us.
Ooh.
Yeah, but it's been
It's
sort of
gentle.
a nice. We have Moai statues next to it. They're one of the
Oh, yeah,
few
one of the-
wonders that are allowed to be built on top of volcanic soil. So if you have the Rapa Nui city-state,
Yeah, and I think they actually get a bonus culture from it as well.
right,
think they
you
do
can
too.
you can put the Moai statues on just because Easter Island is such a volcanic island. That's sort of where they were built in real
Right.
life.
Oh, this is going to be good.
So we got rock bands, crossing paths with Johann Sebastian Bach, waving to each other on the train.
Yeah. So did our rail line? I saw we hooked up 2 cities. Did we get it all?
Yeah,
the way complete?
we've had rail lines completed all the way through. So they're
Through the
going
mountain
canals
tunnel.
and- Yep.
Over the
Carl's built
canals,
our
past
infrastructure
the
in
flood
place.
barrier.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, Carl can be an infrastructure baron as well as a conqueror, right?
He can.
Multitasking.
Although, let's be clear, he's really much better at pillaging. Oh, man.
More spies.
More spies. So we're getting close. I mean, hopefully in a little bit. We've got a couple more things that we want to show off before the end of the stream, but I really want to see Istanbul flip.
I want to see it flip too.
I want to see it.
I think it's going to happen.
I think it is too.
Okay, we're gonna play the pyramids. Green Carltonence. With Jebel Barkal in the background.
That's pretty awesome. Oh, no. Creative differences.
Well, we got a T-star performance,
I
though.
think they did, half the band didn't like being renamed from continents to Carltonence.
I know we were continents.
Yeah.
It's not what I signed up for.
Yeah. Oh.
We get gossip about the rock band.
Yep.
Newspaper reported the concert.
Our cultural attaches come back. Oh, man. It's so close.
Okay, so I see a rock band in the Ottoman Empire. Okay, we're headed to the theater
This is
district.
Hungry Band going to perform.
Hungry band.
That's our indie rock. Come
Yeah.
on,
Oh, man. Wreck it.
do it. That trader next door is just selling food for the concert
Selling merch,
goers.
bootleg t-shirts.
Opening act, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Stuck around.
Just
All
stuck around.
right.
All right.
We didn't get a promotion out of them, but
That's
they
all
at
right.
least had some album sales. Now, I'm not sure everyone knows how the album sales work, but album sales basically are a permanent modifier on what your output's going to be in future concerts.
Correct.
So if you get like 100 album sales, that's up like plus 100% tourism.
Yeah.
And if you can keep building those album sales up with a whole bunch of successful concerts,
Oh, man.
then you're all of a sudden you're getting 3, 4, or 5 times the tourism out of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Now
have
for
to
a
send-
different kind of concert.
Now for another kind of Bach.
Definitely
original
have
indie
a
rock.
musical theme to this live stream.
Yeah, it's
true.
It's really good.
Hey,
Wow, there it
It's
goes.
ours.
Will he rename his city? What will he rename it
is
to?
going to fall very quickly. There's one Ottoman city left.
He's going to rename it to
Istanbul, not.
Carlson.
And no ball.
I see what you did there.
I think we're going to have to stop.
The Carls are everywhere.
On that note, that's actually, we do have a couple of other things that we'd like to touch base on. But as you can see, the Ottoman are not long for this world. Their last city is getting ready to fall under pressure. We've just sort of blobbed them all to pieces. Hungry Band will roll up, do their thing. This is going to be
Hungry Band.
They have one city like down in the tundra, so I think their empire will survive, but
Okay.
oh man,
a shadow of its former self.
Let's be clear. They have
One
nothing.
turn.
One turn.
Come on,
That's
let's just do it. I want
That's
to see it.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Oh my gosh.
A little extended play time here because we were planning to get to the next thing already.
We do have
An
more things to
encore.
show off.
An encore. If you
Yeah.
will.
An encore.
The Hungry Band fans have held up their lighters and they're ready for one more performance.
They're on their favorite. They're on their favorite music-related website, going, well, I guess you really just have to see them live. I mean, you could listen to the album.
And their first album was better, but
Yeah, it was. I liked them before they got big. They're not really for you. They're for the Ottoman. All right. Oh, air agent was killed. Rip. Okay.
now we see Carl at his full speed.
Yeah, this is what he plays all the time. Blam!
Wow.
We did it. Complete.
Yeah.
All right, so that's Eleanor.
That's Eleanor.
That's the court
so
of
that's
love.
what you have to look forward
And
to.
our great Rex can't quite reach down there, but that's okay. We'll
But
let
that's
them-
okay.
They can
It's
have
surrounded by barbarians in a little tiny polar city.
So
That's-
Sweden would be next in this game. That's a daunting task. Sweden's big, but I think we have them.
I think
We have a
with our
cultural
rock bands,
juggernaut,
we can-
Yeah.
yeah, it's already starting to pressure in on them. Okay, so we do have a couple of other things to show off for you. Just a couple neat changes for this. We're going to go back to the main menu for a minute and show off the new Hall of Fame system. So for you guys who like to play Civilization over and over and over again and wish to go back and reflect on the glory of your previous days, this is the perfect system for you. So we'll go into Hall of Fame off the main menu here. And Ed, you want to talk about this a little bit?
Okay, so we have a screen that is displaying all the leaders that are available if you've gotten all the DLC, including Gathering Storm, Rise and Fall, and the other DLC packs.
The whole gang is here.
Yep. And so what happens is every time you finish a game, especially if you have a victory here, you will basically be lighting up slots on the display here. So the Dido game, I believe that was a game I played. It was on a TSL map. Where I was playing TSL Phoenician. I chose the other 7 participants in that one. So if we click on like the history tab at the top, we can see them listed out, and we can select the Phoenicia game and look at game details for that. And so it's going to have lots of stuff that's been recorded in.
Yeah, so here are the players and what happened, and
Right.
I believe what their score was at the end.
Right. So we got the culture victory. That was our score. We can see all the other people we put in that game. We can the reports and graphs allow us to look at a lot of the same type of information that was available at the end of a game session. Now it's all sort of stored permanently here in the Hall of Fame. So we can look at both our own particular statistics. We can look at those for other players in the game. If for some reason we want to dive that deep back in, graphs are available as well. So the same type of reporting that we got. It was just only at that last game. Now we can kind of look back through all of our games and kind of keep track of which ones were our best, which ones did we win on TSL maps, which ones did we win with one victory or another.
So what if you had a game from before Gathering Storm? So let's say you have a Rise and Fall game.
Okay, so if we go back to the main one, there's this tab on the right, and it actually has each rule set that is available to the game. So each of our expansions is considered a different set of game rules, a different rule set. So the base game's in there, Rise and Fall's in there, Gathering Storm's in there, and all the scenarios are in there. Now, I'm not sure how many players have kept save games from their victories,
Right.
but the players that did are going to be just loving life because they can just reload those games, drop them in their Hall of Fame, and all of a sudden everything's going to be populated for them. It's going to be tough to light up all the boxes here because you'd have to win the game as each of the leaders with each of the rule sets. So somebody's going to try, but boy, that's a daunting proposition.
Yep. And then there's one more system that we're going to show off.
And before we leave this, the one other thing
ahead.
is, I know lower down the screen, Carl was showing it briefly here. There are a lot of detailed statistics that we're tracking.
Highlights across all of your games.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And this is a rolled up set of information where it goes in and kind of scours all the different game results that you've reported and sort of aggregate number of cities conquered, what your favorite government's been, what the largest city you've ever created was. I think the most followed religion there, that was one of the games in here is a Norway religious victory I had where low key was my religion as Norway. And
chill.
so we had a lot of followers of that religion that particular time.
To be fair, it's a pretty laid-back religion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But, people like it, so.
All right.
There's just a lot of new things we've added for the Hall of Fame this time, and so we're just glad to be able to share that, glad to have people be able to sort of capture all their Civ 6 experiences in one place.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last thing we're going to show off is the play-by-cloud system.
Yes,
and
we teased this a little bit before, but
Right.
you just showed it in the main menu, but we actually want to dive into a game here.
So Carl's got a game that it is his turn on play-by-cloud.
And notice all those exclamation point notifications have, even all the way back out to the main menu.
Yes.
We had a notification saying, hey, it was our turn in one of these play-by-cloud
Right.
matches. And so play-by-cloud, it's definitely, I'd say, sort of an acquired taste because the pace of play.
I don't know. I passed floppy disks back in the day. This is perfectly fine with me.
It's still a little bit slow though. People have to realize don't set up a standard or marathon speed game as their first play-by-cloud experience. They need to go for the quicker speeds. They need to go for maybe a scenario. We have some great quick playing multiplayer scenarios. The Ancient Rivals is one of my favorites.
One of the nice things you can do too is you can sort of like change modes. So if you have like, 3 friends, you're like, hey, let's get together and play a 4-player game, and you have an hour to sort of kick it off and burn through the first 50 turns, and they're like, hey, I got to go eat dinner or whatever. You can be like, okay, let's continue this as play-by-cloud.
And so for the next 2 weeks, you do it as a play-by-cloud match, and then you're able to get back together with them, and you guys can load it back into multiplayer and just keep playing multiplayer. So
exactly.
it's great for that kind of usage for sure.
Okay, so the game Carl is playing today is War Machine, which is our World War I, opening days of World War I on the Western Front scenario. This was designed by Dave McDonough. It's a very cool kind of execute the von Schlieffen plan, thwart the von Schlieffen plan.
Right. Build railroads, get your troops to the front, try to take
front.
Paris within, I think it's 40 turns.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
And this is a fantastic example of, what makes great sense to me as a play-by-cloud experience because it's only 40 turns, it's only 2 players. There are basically 80 interchanges that need to happen for you to get all the way to the end of this.
And there's a lot of logistics too. Like you have a lot of units and you want to move them very carefully to execute the plan. So if you're playing this in a more traditional multiplayer environment, and it was like, especially if it was like sequential turns or something like that, you might be waiting a lot. But if you want to like really mull over, okay, I want to move my infantry up to the north this time, you have all the time in the world you want to plan that out, and then you pass the save over
My
by a
roots
cloud
are
floppy
in
disk.
hardcore wargaming.
Yeah.
So this is just like screaming like, this is amazing. This is, Civ sort of at a whole another mode that we haven't seen before, but it speaks to that side of me for sure.
So in this scenario, you have one player playing as Germany, one player playing as France, and then you've got 2 kind of AI allies for the French player, the Belgians and the British, which will be kind of cool to play out. So we'll go ahead and we'll let Carl kind of take his turns as we talk about it.
Yeah, we're not going to... Carl's got a lot of units to move, so we're not necessarily going to expect him to finish his turn here. But again, that's why it's so great for play-by-cloud, because it's the type of thing where you want to sit down and carefully plan out your turn, and it's going to take time to make sure you get all the moves just right. But then you can send that file over to let whoever you're playing against take their turn, and they also have the time to consider everything and react properly and so forth.
Yep. And this will all be in everybody's hands pretty soon, which is kind of exciting. So next week, the 14th, is our release day.
A week from today.
A week from today.
And yeah, we've been playing Play by Cloud games internally. We've had a dedicated group of people that I've been playing with, and so we've gotten really far into it. It's definitely fun, but what we've been doing is things like we picked a Renaissance start, so that the game was a little bit less lengthy, and we're going on online speed, so things progress. I'm playing a Maori in the Renaissance start, so it's just fascinating because the Maori and the Renaissance start with two settlers and like 2 scouts and 3 military units. So
Surprise Empire right next to you. Hello.
Even though it's a play-by-cloud game and we're not deep into the game, we're maybe 30 turns into the game, something like that. I know where everyone is already, and I've seen all the land masses.
You probably circumnavigated the globe already.
I think I have, So,
hey, who are those cool guys with the tattoos? I don't know, mate.
Choice.
Choice. All right. So, speaking of multiplayer, we'll let Carl take his turns here. We're going to get ready to wrap up. But before we launch, we actually have 2 more streams we want to share with you guys. On Monday of next week, Carl and Ed are going to be playing a head-to-head multiplayer game against each other. It's going to be all afternoon. So, tune in, drop in and out during the course of the afternoon and see how things go. You'll be able to see Carl, Terror of the Worlds, against Ed, who is, frankly, actually more terrifying as a warmonger. That's true. Your reputation.
Now, Carl and I were playing a board game at lunch this week, and I did kind of destroy his navy in that game. So, I have the advantage right now. I have the mic, and Carl doesn't, and so I can trash talk him a little bit right now. And he's defenseless, so I probably shouldn't be doing this because I'm going to get thrashed on Monday.
This is going to end.
I'll try to, I might be commenting on Monday as well. I'll comment in as a neutral party, much like the board game. You two fought it out, and I won. While
you were just off with the economic victory there.
Yeah.
I did not pay any attention to you because I was so busy getting.
Come witness literally months of development drudges come into a cresting wave that will end only in the ruin of nations.
But the cool thing is, Carl's going to be mic'd up. Carl's going to be on camera.
Yes.
Carl's going to be sharing.
Carl Cam confirmed.
Sharing some of his experiences, over the last year and even before that, testing the game, what that's like.
A lot of interesting stories.
Yeah, the QA group that we have here that Carl heads up plays multiplayer all the time, and so that's why I, frankly, think all the pressure's on him for Monday. Because he should wreck me. He plays multiplayer over and over again, and I hardly play it at all. So
yeah.
So
Ed setting the bar so he can
so I can slide under it later.
Later. And then Wednesday, the day before our release, Sarah Darney will be back hosting a live stream. She's going to be bringing members of the team on, talking about the process that they go through in creating things for the game. I think they're specifically going to talk about creating one of the leaders, but she'll be back with Ed and she'll be back with Dennis, and it'll be your last chance to see the team before the game is in your hands on February 14th. So we really appreciate you tuning into these live streams. Thank you as we've gone through and we've revealed the various leaders, giving you a look about what's coming in Gathering Storm. It's been a pleasure to host these. Looking forward to seeing you guys on Monday for this epic multiplayer game that will last in legend through the ages. I hope you have a great weekend. Thanks for watching.